Hey guys, this is Connor with iTalk Waterloo, and I wanted to shoot a video today about why you might be losing the flexibility gains that you could accumulate from passive stretching or from passive mobility methods. So passive stretching means getting into a stretch position and holding that position for whatever amount of time you deem necessary, with the hopes of increasing the flexibility of that tissue. Other passive methods that I would call passive include foam rolling and using lacrosse balls, self-myofascial release, that kind of thing. These things can work great to enhance flexibility or range of motion in that moment, and a lot of the gains that you see with those methods are very short-lived. You'll see people that need to stretch every day or twice a day to maintain hamstring and low back flexibility. Hamstring and low back are probably the most common stretched areas, I would bet. But you have to ask why you're not maintaining that flexibility. If you're putting that stimulus out there to increase flexibility, have that range of motion, why is it leaving? Why isn't it sticking around? And it really points out the flaw. This discussion really points out the flaw with passive mobility methods in the first place. You're not giving your body any reason to maintain that mobility because you're not demonstrating that it's a safe range of motion for you. If I use a foam roller or a lacrosse ball and really beat up my hamstring, I'm going to inhibit my hamstring a little bit. So if I do a before and after stretch on my hamstring, a toe touch or something like that, bam, I'm going to have some results. I'm going to be able to get deeper into that stretch. Same thing if I stretch my hamstring for a few minutes and then I retest my hamstring flexibility, it's going to be better for sure. But what I've just done is I've opened up a range of motion for my hamstring that was meant to be inhibited. My body is stopping me from getting into that range of motion for a reason. And that's probably because you don't have enough stability in that range of motion. You're not strong enough there. So you see this all the time with people trying to do the toe touch stretch or pick things up off the ground. They just can't get down to the ground in a lot of cases, or they can't touch their toes. And a lot of the time they think, oh, it's my hamstrings are too tight. The reason that they're tight is because you can't control that range of motion. Your body is really jacking up the tension in your hamstrings to stop you from getting further into that range of motion because your hips and your core are not strong enough to keep your spine safe in that extended range of motion. So if you do something to build stability in that range of motion, if I do an actual strength exercise where I have a good amount of hamstring stretch, a good amount of core activity and hip, like glute activity, that kind of thing, like a single leg Romanian deadlift or a Romanian deadlift, then what I'm doing is I'm working a little bit of that range of motion. I'm building my flexibility a little bit, but as I do it, I'm creating stability, creating strength in that range of motion. And if you do that consistently, you're going to keep those gains because you're showing your body that it's safe to get down there, that you can control it, and that it's a sustainable thing that's not going to hurt your spine. So that's the huge issue with passive mobility. If you like stretching, stretch. I like stretching, I like the feeling of it, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it in the name of building a range of motion because I know that's not the best way to do it. And above and beyond that, it can be kind of dangerous. If you do a lot of passive stretching before you go out and play a game or something like that, what you've just done is opened up all these ranges of motion that you had no control over and that your body was really limiting you in for a reason. And now you're going to go and play a dynamic, explosive sport with these extra ranges of motion that you can't control. And that's obviously bad news. Probably not the best way to do it long term or short term. So things to think about.